According to the Betty Crocker website, Betty Crocker once said, "Nothing says, 'I love you, you're not forgotten, I'm here for you, you're not alone,' more than a homemade cake baked just from scratch." While it isn't cake, I made each of you homemade cookies because I believe that love is easy to spread, and I think the world would be a lot better place if there was more of it. With that being said, today I'm going to teach you how to make these cookies using this red cookbook. Now let me tell you, this red cookbook has been through it. It is old, there's oil on the back cover, a lot of the pages have gunk all over them. But this cookbook is also filled with lots of memories from my childhood and also many, many stories. Mainly though, this cookbook connects me to my grandma, whom I never got the chance to meet, because she got this cookbook in 1991 and gave it to she didn't. It was given to my mom when she passed away in 2002. In fact, the specific recipe that I'm about to teach you today was actually my grandma's that she submitted to the cookbook before it was published in 1991. German oatmeal cookies. I'm going to teach you how to make the cookies, but first I want to teach you a little bit about the history of oatmeal cookies. According to a food reference article by Jennifer Wicks, oatmeal cookies have been around since the 1800s. It is believed that they were created after the oat cake, and the oat cake was used by soldiers as a quick pick-me-up during battle. Also, April 30th is now declared National Oatmeal Cookie Day. Now to the fun part, using this red cookbook to teach you how to make the cookie dough. The first thing that you will need before your ingredients is you will need a baking sheet of some sort, a mixing bowl. I prefer a glass mixing bowl. I think it's just a little sturdier, and that is all you will need before you can start. The first thing you will add is 1 cup or 2 sticks of softened butter. It is important that the butter is softened, and I will explain why in just a moment. Next, you will add 1 cup of white sugar. All of these up here are some form of a cup. This is 1 cup of brown sugar and 2 eggs. If you have them, large eggs are preferred. Next, you will go ahead and mix this. I usually use a hand mixer because you can use a KitchenAid, but KitchenAids are generally really large and they make more mess if it's a small recipe. So since this is a relatively small recipe, a hand mixer is great. You can mix it with your hands, but as with most recipes, your arms will get pretty tired. Now, as I mentioned before, the reason the butter needs to be softened is because if it is not softened, this process will create a really chunky dough. And believe me, I've tried to make these cookies in a rush. They don't taste as good. They're more airy and cakey. So once you have a smooth consistency like this, you know you're ready to move. The next thing you will add is 2.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking salt, and I did not trust myself to bring in the box without spilling it, so I have a bag. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, but for that one I usually just measure with my heart. Usually a little more than a pinch does the trick. And if you like a more salty sweet flavor, you can add more salt, but I prefer a generally sweet cookie. This is the part where you have to be careful. Mix it very slow at first, otherwise your flour will go everywhere, as with most recipes. Now you will start to notice that the dough will get pretty thick, but that is okay. This cookie creates a really thick dough, and that is how it's supposed to be. Then you can turn it up once the flour is kind of mixed in to finish the mixing process. Get all that off the beaters. Okay, beautiful. Now, once it looks like this, you know you are ready to move on to the last step. The last step is to add what I think is the good stuff. You're going to add a cup of coconut and 1 cup of oatmeal. You can fold this in or mix it in, whatever you prefer. The original recipe says to fold, but I think it's easier to just mix it in. The mixer does get a little not happy at you at this point, so just beware. And once it is all mixed in, you are good to go. So what you do, I'm gonna get it all off the beaters first, maybe. I typically use a teaspoon scooper because these cookies are better if they're small, in my opinion. And I would usually use a bigger baking sheet than this because, as I mentioned before, they're really small, so they're easy to fit a lot on one pan. Just scoop teaspoon-sized scoops onto the pan, and once you fill it up, you pop them into the oven for 11 minutes at 350 degrees, and just like that, you have good cookies and you are ready to spread love all around you.